When the first copies of the 2012 Farmer's Almanac came through this machine in Lewiston, Maine on June 1st, right there in the forecast, a snowstorm Halloween weekend.
I got credit for it because it was snowy and it was a major storm.
One form or another, we do about 4 million copies of the Farmer's Almanac every year.
Editor Peter Geiger is the current holder of the 195-year legacy that is the Farmer's Almanac, a legacy handed down from his father, who himself took the mantle of responsibility in 1935. While rich in history, Peter knows that the Almanac's forecast is more than just a novelty.
People rely on us, people who are planning weddings, planning parades, planning vacations. Where are you going to go if you want to find out what the weather's going to be next July, next September, next December? So,
fresh off the Almanac's Halloween success, I traveled to Lewiston, Maine, to the home of Farmer's Almanac, and pressed Peter for a Pittsburgh-specific winter prediction.
It should be above normal temperatures for the winter. It's going to be a wet winter. It means you're going to have a lot of snow, a lot of rain. Thus, we are calling it climb and punishment.
Too general, you say? The Almanac doesn't shy away from specifics.
We start talking about, I think, some major storms December 8th to the 11th, and then I believe 5 or 6 storms in January, another 5 or so in February, and different intensities.
Intense is right. The Almanac predicts a 12-plus inch snowfall between February 20th and 23rd, and watch out for the 4th through 7th of March. Now, what you need to know, and this is crucial, this forecast was put together 2 years ago.
2 years ago, you
Yes.
created this forecast.
Yes. Yeah.
How can you say on the 8th to the 11th of December there's going to be a major storm? That far out?
Well, because that's what our calculations have determined.
He's serious when he says calculations. The method was developed by the first Farmer's Almanac editor, David Young, in 1818. Young was an astronomer and mathematician.
He developed a mathematical formula which he applied to sunspot activity, planet positions, the effect that the moon has on the Earth, allowed him to project weather 2 years in advance.
No woolly worms?
Woolly bear caterpillars, persimmon seeds, the hair on the nape of a cow, those kinds of things you can only determine a month or two prior to the winter.
While they believe in those natural indicators, Geiger says the woolly worms come out way too late for their forecast to be in print and distributed all over North America months in advance.
People tell us that we're anywhere from 75 to 85% accurate.
Jamie McLeod grew up in Level Green and moved from here to the farmer's headquarters in Maine 4 years ago. She's handling the Almanac's move into the social networking world, aimed at the struggling younger generation.
The Farmer's Almanac has a lot of great tips and things like that to help them live smarter and live, more simply.
No matter where she goes, when people realize where she works,
everybody kind of gets a smile on their faces. Really? The Farmer's Almanac? What's the weather going to be?
Geiger is quick to point out that the Almanac is not trying to compete with the meteorological profession.
We're talking about weather 2 years in advance. We're talking about weather in 3-day segments. We're talking about regions of the country. We're not going to say that it'll start snowing at 5 a.m. and end at noontime.
But he will tell you to watch out for next spring.
We're talking about May and June having a lot of tornadoes. If it doesn't happen, then I'm wrong. And if it happens, then I'm going to be very right.